Hey guys, what's going on? What's Melon back again with more battles, and this is going to be the team that got me to expert. After the Jungle Cup, I was in some poor elo range, let's put it. So we've got Shagno Magnezone on the lead, as you can see. Pretty decent matchup into Shadow Gligar. You just got to farm up to the Wild Charge, throw it, and they're either forced to shield or take a ton of damage. This person shields. Immediately I switch into Cresselia. Usually they stay in and throw a little energy. Here they throw an aerial ace. No point in shielding that really. This one's going to be a dig, almost certainly, so I decided to shield it because why not? Got to use my shields at some point. Farm up to the future site. They do not catch, which I think is a big problem for them, because then it just puts them in a very nice farm down range for my Cresselia. And they can't knock me out, so I should exit with pretty good energy, or they have to swap out. They swap out into Lantern. Problem is, I've got a super effective Grass Knot ready for them, and the rest of my team is not weak to Lantern either, and so I just swap back in my Magnezone because they have to more or less stay in because they just swapped out their Gligar to avoid the farm down. So I just farm up to a nice Wild Charge, already done a pretty significant amount of damage. They decide, just let it go. Good thing is I make it to another Wild Charge, which forces their last shield, and then this is just a one game. I've got a Wigglytuff in the back that, is going to destroy this Shadow Poliwrath, although it is a little spooky because of how much damage a Scald from a Shadow Poliwrath does. Wigglytuff, I wouldn't think it would be as necessary as it is for the team. I've experimented with a lot of stuff. The reason Wigglytuff is so useful is because it essentially always baits out Skarmory, and it does a huge amount of damage to things like Shadow Dragonair, as well as all the counter users, which are the Shadow Dragonair is specifically a big problem for the team if you try something else. And Annihilate is a huge problem for the team if you don't have Wigglytuff there, because it can do significant damage to Cresselia, and it also just completely destroys your Shadow Magnezone. So you see here I've got my Wigglytuff aligned on Annihilate, which is nice, and I'm easily able to just farm it down with a Charm and then leave with a considerable amount of energy to use on the Mantine that swapped out. Icy Wind. This is going to be very difficult for the opponent to recover from, because they don't want to throw energy, but they're kind of forced to do something because I'm just farming them down with all my charms. And so this is one of the nice things, is if they don't have an immediate answer to Wigglytuff, you can really wreak some havoc in the back, and then your Shadow Magnezone is just they work well because Shadow Magnezone does so much damage. If they don't shield, you just farm them down with your Wigglytuff, and then Cresselia is a meat shield and an answer to things like Whiscash, as you're seeing, because Whiscash completely destroys your Magnezone. I think Magnezone plus Cresselia is a really nice core, and then you can add, I like Wigglytuff, things like Carbink, what else? I think Medicham would be very good. In fact, I don't think Carbink is that good because it doesn't have a nice answer to the water ground types that are basically everywhere. So I think that Medicham is something that I want to try out, but my Medicham is not built, and so I just can't yet. I actually have a rank 1 Medicham once I finish best buddying it. I'm walking it right now. So as you can see, I just get the good alignment. When they have a Mantine lead, not a whole lot that they can do into Shadow Magnezone. Another positive lead. Man, I'm getting lucky here with a lot of these games. So Lantern, obviously positive lead for Shadow Magnezone. It's not as nice as you might think, because you have to debuff yourself, and you always run the risk of them calling a mirror shot bait, and then you're just in a really bad position when they call a mirror shot bait. So the safest thing is just to always throw your wild charges. However much I like to mirror shot bait, I just don't think it's worth it. Usually I just stay in and double shield. I don't think in this game I do. I think I just take the shield advantage. I have answers to Lantern, so I don't really mind it. And Cresselia can just farm up to an absurd amount of energy and tank the Thunderbolt, so it sort of is what it is. Now they're forced to swap in. They think they have a safe swap in Lickitung. I can do the nice thing of just Future Sight, get a little bit of farm, and then put it Wigglytuff in, which Lickitung's licks essentially do nothing to, and then I can farm it all the way down and exit with some energy, which I think is quite nice. I think I let this go because I'm expecting some sort of mud boy in the back. I think I'm expecting a Whiscash in the back, given that I've seen the Lantern and Lickitung already. I guess it could be something like Annihilape as well. Oh, it's actually Wigglytuff. Okay, that's kind of random. I forget if I win or lose this one because, okay, Cresselia has enough health that I definitely win this. So, as you can see, Wiggly gets to a move. Icy Wind. I'm just going to throw out my Future Sight. And I should be able... Oh, they let that... Oh, yeah. They don't have any shields. I'm a fool. So, basically, I'm just going to make my Grass Knot, and then it's GG's from there. So, at this point, I'm about to be 3-0 in the set. Oh, they forfeit before the Grass Knot goes through. So, that's quite nice. So, fourth battle, Shadow Magnezone, Whiscash, Nightmare lead. This is, essentially the worst possible lead. I just have to swap in my Wigglytuff. I now have a... Skarmory that I have to deal with, which Whiscash Skarmory cores are a big problem, especially with Annihilape as well. Huge problem for me, so this is already looking pretty unfortunate. I do get them down into 1 Volt Switch range, so I can tank their debuffed Brave Bird onto Magnezone no problem, and because they're debuffing themselves with the Brave Bird, this is just going to one-shot before they can, get something else, and I still exit with a lot of health. The problem is that they have a Whiscash, and yeah, not fun to see Whiscash. So I'm going to throw the Wild Charge. Probably should have just banked that. I do like throwing the Wild Charge because sometimes they get very nervous because of how much damage it does, especially to the Shadow version, and they'll shield. If they had shielded there, I might be in a different spot, but now it doesn't help me to essentially do that sort of damage to Whiscash because basically Shadow Whiscash already, I have to rely on Scald not debuffing me and then just basically one-shotting it with Cresselia. Whereas on the Gligar, this would be a huge damage. I can't one-shot the Gligar, and so that would really put it into Grass Knot range or something like that, where if I got a Grass Knot off, it would allow me to win the game. So, yeah, tough one here. I have to essentially hope that I can do something that's not possible, and I just lose the game. Kind of a tough one. The Whiscash Skarmory cores, it's really difficult for this team, to be honest. Luckily, they're not as prevalent as they were earlier in the season, but they're still everywhere. Whiscash, Annihilape, Skarmory is a very, very powerful team. A-Slash, this is one that I've seen everywhere. I don't know why it's such a popular Pokemon, but it is. I usually just go Mirror Shot. I think it's probably like 70% of the time they shield expecting a Wild Charge or respecting the Wild Charge. I always am shielding, even if it's Ice Punch. Here, another Mirror Shot. I think they typically shield it. If they shield once, they often shield again. If they don't shield once and they call the Mirror Shot and I get it and they get it right, they often don't shield again. So it is what it is. You can see I accidentally throw another Volt Switch, and now I'm in trouble because I didn't KO the A-Slash, although I do get a lot of farm on Wigglytuff, which is nice because the A-Slash can't threaten with its fast move at all, and Wigglytuff can tank whatever it throws out. And the good thing is now I'm pretty far along with the old Icy Wind, and this debuff matters a lot. I decided to just bank the Wigglytuff because that small amount of HP goes a long way on Wiggly in case they have something like a dragon or something like that in the back, where I'm just going to be able to do a huge amount of damage to it. Or, let's say a fighter. Let's say they had an Annihilape in the back. That could really be the difference there. So what we see, knock out the Mantine. They have a Feraligatr. They try to do something cheeky there. Does not work. And so it just gives me extra farm, which I don't think they needed to do that. I think that was a mistake. I swap in Wiggly, which I think is fine, and so they're forced to throw basically. Now I can just farm it down with Cresselia. I win my fourth match of the set, and now I get the big ELO rewards, claim my rewards, get a card bank from the encounter. Still haven't built this because I need too many XLs and there aren't enough card bank events for me to get the XLs. So got card bank. Now I claim it. 2,777, hit expert, get all the fun accessories. It's been your boy Watermelon. Subscribe if you did enjoy, and peace out.